Our hunt begins October 1st, and Loman National Sales Manager David Billman took advantage of a well-established food plot and a calm afternoon to hunt a white-tailed buck. With some soft contact grunts, David helps convince a nice buck that deer are already moving towards their evening feeding areas. A slight error in distance judging sends the buck back to the safety of the brush. David resumes the contact grunting, and the confused buck makes a second appearance.
We're gonna start tracking this deer now. It's about 7 o'clock. I shot him at 6 o'clock, so waited about an hour on him. As you can see from the video, you know, with the first deer that came in, he was probably about 32 yards away, and I just shot under him. I mean, I think it was just nothing but nerves is why I shot low. But as soon as I did, I just started grunting as soon as he took off. Hit the grunt call several times. Deer came back out, and I got a good shot on him now. So what we're gonna do is just take off and see if we can't find him. There he is down. He didn't go very far at all. Thank goodness for grunt calls. It's kind of just a second chance buck.
Hi folks, I'm Loman Pro Staff member Gary Williams. I'd like to give you a bow hunting tip today on how to use a Loman come here deer bleat call. The bleat call is a contact call. It's a no fear type call. I like to use this call to bring in deer that otherwise would pass my bow stand just out of range. The first call I'll make would be a contact call. I'll call loud enough to get the deer's attention. Once I've got his attention, I'll call softly, and I'll call only when his head is down behind the tree. I found that by using this bleat call, I can coax in deer that otherwise may pass my bow stand I would have never got a shot at. So next time you're out in the woods, why don't you give one a try?
13-year-old Adam Hugel attempts to take his first deer with a bow near a public shooting range in his home state of Pennsylvania. An unexpected visit from one of PA's numerous black bears puts a damper on Adam's plans. As fate would have it, Adam was watching a small buck when the bear made his entrance.
I wish it was bear season.
Realizing the bear's presence could possibly curtail the deer activity in the area, Adam and his dad Jody decided to change tree stand locations for the afternoon's hunt. With scent applied to the trees and soft coaxing contact grunts from Adam's Loman grunt call, it wasn't long before the action picked up. The shots from the nearby range had no effect on the deer. Remembering his dad's instructions, Adam remained very patient, waiting for just the right opportunity. His patience would soon pay off as the deer gave Adam a perfect quartering away shot from his Golden Eagle Sparrowhawk bow. After giving the deer plenty of time, Adam tracks and recovers his first bow bag trophy.
This is great, Dad. I got my first deer. I love hunting.
I'll tell you what, early bow hunting season can certainly be exciting. And what about Dave Billman missing that deer and actually calling him back? It's amazing how the calls work sometimes. And Adam Hugel taking his first deer, hey, that couldn't be beat. That was unbelievable. And I know his dad Jody was real proud of him. And what about that bear charging in on him? That'd make me nervous, I guarantee you. You know, early season calling needs to be kept at a minimum for the most part. There's actually two ways to call: a non-aggressive contact style and an aggressive type of distress style. Using the come here deer call, I like to start out with a non-aggressive contact bleat. Simply bite down and make soft nasal sounding bleats. Soft and short, you're saying, deer, come here. That's all you're saying is, come here, deer. You're talking to them, telling them you're a deer, having them approach your area or your tree stand area in a calm manner. The other way to use that call is very aggressive and distressful. When you use a distress sound, you'll get does and young deer to come running into the call very aggressively, and you want to be prepared for that type of action. When it comes to grunting in the early season, I like to keep it short and soft. Very soft, very short, high pitch, non-aggressive. That works great during the early bow season. Now let's take a look at some pre-rut action when the aggression factor in these bucks starts picking up. You're going to see some bucks responding to the call, and we're going to get a little more aggressive on our calling techniques. Let's take a look at some fine pre-rut hunting action.
Late in October brings a new excitement to the timbered ridges of Missouri, as Loman Regional Sales Manager Brad Valdois finds out.
There he is, there he is. He's coming.
The pre-rut makes for great calling and lots of action. Using the new Loman 6-in-1 deer call, Brad pulls this buck right under his stand. One thing's for sure, if you call to a deer, expect him to come directly to the source of the call. Be patient and wait for the right opportunity.
We've been hunting this area for about 2 days now. There's been a lot of activity in here. There's scrapes all along the wood line here. We've seen several bucks chasing does through here. This evening was no exception. In fact, we was watching an armadillo right before this buck came in. So when we did spot the buck, I grunted at him several times, got him headed in our direction. In fact, he walked right to the tree, and it kind of made for an anxious moment there. The cameraman couldn't get down on him, and I couldn't either, but we was able to let him walk on by, got a good shot on him. He probably didn't go 30 yards, so it was a great inning to a beautiful hunt.
The pre-rut is no doubt one of my favorite times of the year. I set up my stand along the edge of a pole line. Using the 6-1 deer call, I grunted softly every 15 or 20 minutes, trying to coax an unseen deer to my area. After a while, a buck decides to come in and investigate.
There's a buck, right there. He's coming in out of that field over there to the right. Coming out of the thicket to the right.
With the buck angling downwind, it was time to take the shot. Bringing my Golden Eagle Evolution bow to full draw while I grunted crudely with my voice to stop the buck for a broadside shot.
And what I was trying to do is keep him coming this way instead of cutting downwind. The wind's hitting me in the face, and he's almost cutting our wind. So I grunted to him a couple times soft, and he turned and come right at us. Got out here about 20 yards, and he started to turn around this big black oak down here, and I was afraid he was gonna go behind us. So I found an opening, put the call up, and when he got in that opening, I drew the bow. When he hit that opening, I just grunted my voice, and he stopped right in that opening. Use the call when you're in the stand, use it sparingly, but you're trolling while you're doing it. When you see your deer, use the call enough to get them in, and then if you want to, use your voice or a call to stop them and position them for a good shot. This has been a great afternoon. It's just real exciting, and it shows you that the calls really work well. Boy, it's just a great day. Okay, I'm gonna sneak out of here. It's been about 20, 25 minutes. I'm gonna sneak out. Going back to the house, we'll go out this way, let that deer alone for another hour or so, and we'll come back in. We'll probably get our lights, come back in and find him. Well, we've actually given him a couple hours, so it wasn't any big hurry. Now it's time to go in there and see if we can't find him. Okay, right here's where I shot the deer. I have a little bit of leaf scuffed up here, a little bit of blood right there. What I'm gonna do is mark this first spot, and I like to use like a toilet paper, or if it's wet or real windy, I'll use orange flagging, but tonight it's pretty calm, so I'll use toilet paper, and I'm gonna mark my trail as we follow this deer. So you went right through there. Okay, I got another spot right here with some blood, some kicked up leaves. I'm gonna mark this. Now one thing you notice, I'm tracking with a lantern, and I'm also tracking with a light. And the lantern really helped pick up the blood and the sign that's right there close to you. And the light is good to spot. I can reach out with that spotlight and reach out there and pick up sign that may be out there 20, 30 feet away. So it's a good combination. Just be careful if it's dry, because you can set the woods on fire using a lantern. So that deer went right through there. I can see the leaves kicked up. We're going to mark it as we go along. I tell you, we got him. He's doing pretty good. I don't think he's going to be much farther. He's leaving a real good trail here. As you can see with this toilet paper that I'm using, I can go back and take it down later, but if I run out of blood, I can always look back in a line and I can see way back there where that paper is, where I've had a good blood trail coming through there. So if I lose this line, I can always look back and it'll give me kind of the direction that deer was going. It's a good tip for you if you're tracking anytime, day or night. He's really bleeding well. There's a lot you can tell about a blood trail. Number one, you can see the way this blood is kind of splattered this way. You can tell the deer is going this way to my left. Also, you can tell he's bleeding pretty good. We have blood way up here high on these branches. We've got blood here as well as blood on this side, so you can see he's bleeding out of both sides. He's not going to be very far. It's just a real good hit. There he is right there. Look at him. Well, there's a nice deer right there.
Well, I tell you what, it's just capped off a great night here. A couple things you might need if you shoot a deer late in the evening. Don't get excited. I like to give a deer a lot of time, unless it's going to be a terrible storm or something. I like to give them a lot of time. A good Coleman lantern here and a good night light, that little battery-operated night light. This thing just fits right on my belt. I can spot with the night light and I can see all real close with me with the lantern. Just two aids that you might need if you're tracking after dark, along with some toilet paper or some red ribbon. Make sure you go back and take your ribbon or toilet paper down when you go, and make sure you follow the game regulations. I know it's illegal to carry your bow or any weapon with you after dark with a light when you're tracking in most states, so check those game regulations. I'm going to put my tag on him. We're going to head to the house. We had a great day. You know, the pre-rut action certainly picks up. The bucks are more aggressive, they're looking, they're searching, they're starting to get ready for that rut, and so they're actually seeking out more of the deer calling sounds as well as some of the scent that we use. You know, Brad's deer didn't go very far. He didn't have much of a tracking job. On the other hand, mine was shot late in the evening and we had to track after dark. So utilize those tracking techniques with the lights and you'll find that tracking after dark is not as big a job as you might think. Both of us had great success using the new Loman 6-in-1 deer call. This call basically has every type of deer sound that you'll ever need to deer hunt with. We have modified it now, putting on a smaller flexible tube. It just is more compact and works very well, but you still have the same tonal sounds. You simply move the O-ring to create the sound you want, from a deep grunt. You move the O-ring up, you're going to get a more high-pitched contact type grunt, young buck type sound. You can move up again, and a call that we use sparingly, but it does work in the right situation, is the buck bawl. It's a call that I'll use when a big buck especially, is moving through and he won't respond to my standard grunting. So I'll switch to that buck bawl. Blah, blah, blah. 2 or 3 notes like that is usually all it takes, and again, it's mostly geared towards the more dominant buck. You have the doe bleat. You have also a young deer type bleat, as well as the distress cry of a young deer. The call has every type of sound you'll need throughout your bow hunting or gun hunting deer season. You know, as the rut picks up, the action is certainly going to pick up as well. We want to talk about some of the more aggressive calling tactics for rut hunting. You know, as the rut starts picking up, the action picks up as well, and we can become more aggressive with our scent usage, our rattling, our aggressive grunting, our doe bleeding, things like that become more aggressive because the deer are becoming more aggressive. The rattle box, for instance, being able to rattle create a buck fight is something simple to do on the rattle box. It's easy to carry, fits in your pack, yet rattles real well. I've had great success using the rattle box. It's a simple form of slapping your hand together or twisting back and forth on the box. Our grunting becomes more aggressive, a little bit louder. Whether you're using a 6-in-1 or whatever type of grunt call you may use. Again, we try to make that short contact sound, but want that volume to pick up to reach out and touch those deer so they can hear it and hear it well. On those windy days when your standard grunt call won't reach out there, try something a little louder. This one is designed, it's called the mega grunt. It's designed for windy conditions. Days when the wind's blowing 30, 40 miles an hour, or you're in real open terrain, you're trying to call long distance. Remember, the deer has to hear that grunt in order to respond. He has to hear the rattling in order to respond. It's something you want to work on in volume and try to match your volume to the conditions. If you're calling to a deer that's close, then you know you don't have to be as loud. But if that deer's a long way off or that wind is blowing, then you need to pick up that volume regardless of what call you're using. Another call I like to use during the rut is the KMB-14, which is a bleat type call. And it's a doe type sound, it's a bleat sound. It says come here to the deer, and what I do is try to keep my hand cupped on it, and I blow the call, especially when I see a deer moving. Say I've grunted and it won't respond, then I'm going to grab that bleat call and try to get him to respond. I keep my hand cupped, keep that sound a little bit muffled, but you have a lot of volume there if you need it. Now let's take a look at some aggressive rut hunting action. You're going to see a couple of really big bucks taken, as well as seeing a couple of young guys enjoying a rifle season together.
Hunting over several large scrapes along a thick drainage with the rut now in full swing, Loman Pro staff member Jody Hugel challenges a large Kansas whitetail. Jody's hunting with Milligan brand outfitters and guide and pro staff member Gene Piercy. Aggressive grunting coupled with spraying scent and rattling with the Loman rattle box was just what the doctor ordered, as a dandy buck comes in to investigate the ruckus in his territory.
Down right there, did you? Oh my God. That was a good buck. That was a good buck. I think I can turn my hat around now. How many times this Milligan scent has saved me? The wind was swirling on us here, and I just kept pumping this stuff. Next thing here, he'd come up at it and started working that scrape, and I thought, Lord, he's going to smell me. And I'm just pumping for all I'm worth. And it worked great. He come right up. I got my shot on him. He'd come in once before, and the camera shut off on us. And he circled and went back up in the brush here, and I just knew he was still in here.
So I got the rattle box out and just rattled a little bit, and I could hear him running around in there. Got that 1100 grunt, grunted a few times. The next thing I could see him coming out across here, and then the wind started swirling, and that's when I started pumping my milligan. I got to get down here and go see him. Oh my.
The quartering away angle of this big buck made for a great shot opportunity as Jody's satellite TNT broadhead found its mark. Jody's buck field dressed over 200 pounds and scored 138 Pope and Young points.
I'm Lowman Pro Staff member Jody Hugel. You know, I do deer hunting seminars all across the country, and I'm often asked, how and when do I grunt to deer? I like to tell them that I grunt year-round because deer vocalize year-round. Whether it be pre-rut, rut, or post-rut, I like to grunt in series of threes to get a deer's attention. Once that initial contact is made, then I'll use short grunts to coax him on in for that in-close shot. You know, another question I'm often asked is, what's the most effective way to use scent? My personal favorite is to use Milligan brand deer urine with the pump spray. Anytime that the wind is swirling or I believe a deer is moving in my downwind direction, I'll simply pump out the mist to help cover up any scent that I'm putting out and to also put the deer at ease. So try these 2 tips and see if they'll help you on your next deer hunt.
Lowman Pro staffers Gary Williams and Randy Markham make some tree stand adjustments after watching a whopper rut-crazed buck for 2 days in a row from a distant location.
What we've done, we've seen that big buck twice, 2 mornings in a row. And this morning he went clear around us. We didn't see him. I know we still were running the area. But we have come in here and scouted pretty much this hole within about 200-yard area here. And without getting too wild. And this is no doubt that this is a major trail. The scrapes, there must be 15 scrapes up and down through here on this trail. This scrape here has got a wet spot in it. And if you just pawed out. So we're going to pick us a tree right around here and put up, I think is it, don't you?
This is the place. This whole hillside above us, there's acorns all over the ground. There's feed sign where they've been feeding in here. It's like a natural funnel. I think this is the spot for us.
I think this is it. We're not going to get to hunt this evening by the time we get to stand set.
We know where we'll be in the morning.
We'll be here. We'll be here.
Using loud, aggressive grunting, this big buck comes in so fast it almost catches both the hunter and the cameraman off guard. This makes for some anxious moments for everyone. The buck came in so close the cameraman was afraid to move.
We had a fantastic hunt this morning, and basically it was all due to just a little preparation, setting the stands according to where we had the best feeling that this buck would come through. The only thing that threw us for a curve was he come in from the back instead of the direction we thought he would. But still same way, we're still on line with him. But the thing that really turned the hunt around was the model 1100 Loman grunt call. There was absolutely no way this buck come in the way he was looking. He come in looking. He heard that grunt, and it's right in the peak of rut. Right, really getting going good here. And he thought something was up that he ought to be in on. There's a whole line of scrapes down there just on the north side of our stand, and they're probably his. And he wanted to make sure that he wasn't being left out of his own territory. The folk, you ought to get you a grunt call. Get the grunt call, and don't be afraid to use it. You're not going to hurt anything with it. It's just been a gorgeous day, a fantastic hunt, and just by the grace of God, we're able to take this magnificent trophy home. Great day in Kansas.
Randy's buck field dressed 180 pounds and scored 150 Pope and Young points. 65-year-old youngster Ray Sanderson opts to take his bow during the gun season. Using his bleat call, Ray gets the attention of a nice doe, pulling her in close and offering him a chance to fill one of his antlerless-only tags. Sound game management requires us to fill our bonus, our doe tags. As you'll see, it's not always easy. Probably the smartest deer in the woods is an old adult doe.
Shot over, I guess.
During the rut, bucks tend to go crazy. You never know when or where you're going to find them. That's why calling is so effective on mature bucks at this time of year. Many bucks chase does and end up out of their territory, creating some great opportunities for the hunter when he uses calls. Home-based bucks will naturally check out any intruders, while invading bucks will likely respond to calling to check out what's new in this new territory. Sharing the outdoors with your family and friends is truly what deer hunting is all about. The memories gathered of seasons past aren't always centered around the kill, but on the many laughs, the fireside chats, the old stories passed down from deer camp to deer camp, and the bonds established with one another. These are the things that make deer hunting what it is. My son Brent invited his friend Blake Henson on our annual family deer hunt. Brent not only shared his camp, but also his best deer stand with his fellow hunting buddy.
Let's go see what else.
Since Brent let Blake take his stand, the two boys set out to find Brent a new location.
We found a lot of scrapes and rubs and a lot of sign. Maybe we ought to put up one of our stands right here.
That'd be a good idea. Let's go get one. Oh, that's good and tight.
As the boys set up the stand and prepared for the next morning's hunt, the wind began to change and blow from the north. That night, huddled close to a warm campfire, the stories began to fly, as did the first snow of the year. Blake and I hunted together, while Brent headed for his newly established location to hunt by himself. Not an hour had passed when we heard Brent shoot.
I heard you shoot. Did you get one?
Yeah, he's laying right down there.
All right, let's go get him.
Man, this is a nice deer.
Sure is. With all this snow and everything, it makes it easy to see him. And we picked the right spot for that stand, too.
Yeah.
I've already seen 4 bucks today. This one came from my spot. I didn't get a shot at him. Let's go put him in the truck so I can go get me a deer.
Okay.
You see him, Blake?
Yeah, he's over there.
Returning to Blake's stand, we spotted a buck skirting the edge of the timber 150 yards away. The grunt call didn't seem to get any response, yet when the buck hit an opening, the call did stop him for a standing shot.
Tell me when he's in the open, I'll stop him. Go.
I think I got him.
Good deal.
Watching the buck's reaction, I knew Blake had himself a deer.
Nice deer.
Sure is. He came back. He come down that ridge over there. Your dad seen him before I did, and he told me where he was, and about 150 yards away, I just locked on him and I shot. It was pretty awesome. Held my nose a little too close to the scope. Got my nose in there. But, man, it's all worth it. Thanks for letting me use your stand, too. It's a great stand. 2 for 2 here, so.
Been a good deer season.
Sure has.
Hi folks, I'm Loman Pro Staffer Gene Piercy. Traveling around the country doing deer calling seminars and even deer hunting, the biggest mistake I see people making today is their volume. They're afraid to call loud to whitetail deer. 90% of the time I'll use the Model 1100 grunt call. It'll make all the sounds and tones I need to get a response out of a whitetail buck. It'll sound like this. Then there's going to be days when it's windy, maybe frosty mornings and the leaves are noisy, or even raining. You're going to have to switch to something with more volume. The Model 40 Mega Grunt call is what you're going to need then. A lot more volume, you're going to get that deer's attention at greater distances. Once you get him turned your way and coming in and you need to coax him closer, just take the palm of your hand and muffle down the call. Call easier like that and you'll coax him right on in. You try this and see if you don't get more response out of your deer calls.
Hunting in the open prairies of Kansas, binoculars, spotting scopes, and long-range calls are a must, as Brad Valdois demonstrates. High winds and vast distance require louder calling regardless of what type of terrain you hunt.
There's a buck right over there.
The small buck didn't seem interested in the calling, acting somewhat spooky. Brad soon found out why when a larger buck comes out of the draw.
Hit this Magnum grunt call a few times. You can get pretty loud with that, and that sound was able to carry through this wind. That little buck moved down in the bottom, so we moved forward and actually hadn't seen this one yet. And we spotted him. I grunted and rattled some more, and he actually just come right up out of the draw and just walked right to us.
That's what I saw.
He was right there.
I say, from my perspective, when I was watching it, the buck was just kind of moving one way, and all of a sudden he turned and he just started coming your direction. And next thing I heard was
And we were standing up right out here in the grass. I mean, it just shows you how effective calls can be at the right time of the year.
Absolutely, and that Magnum grunt, which it was kind of windy here today, so the sound will travel a little bit.
Regular grunt call you'd never heard.
But I'll tell you, from my perspective, it looked pretty exciting. So I'm down here.
You should have been here.
Good. Well, good job.
Thanks.
You know, the power of the rut is amazing. You got to see Jody Hugel and Randy Markham take bucks of a lifetime, and it's all due to that rut factor. Those bigger bucks were very excited in the peak of the rut, looking for action, and that's when you want to be out there. You know, Ray Sanderson had some misfortune with a miss during the gun season with his bow, and the two young men enjoying the outdoors together, sharing the rifle season, that's what deer hunting's all about. You know, Blake made a heck of a shot on his deer. That deer was over 150 yards away through the timber. But he was very confident because he'd shot his rifle before the season utilizing the sight vise, and he had it dead on, and he knew where that bullet was going to go. And for Brent to share his favorite tree stand with his buddy, well, you know, that's what deer hunting is all about. You know, Brad Valdoy's got out there during the rifle season when a lot of people think deer won't respond, rattle in that buck very aggressively. He comes storming into the call. It just shows you the power of the rut. Now let's take a look at some post-rut action when things are starting to taper off. During the post-rut periods, the buck's activity level is starting to taper down. The aggression factor is starting to taper off. That's when you want to taper off a little bit on your aggressive calling tactics and go back to your early season calling tactics and scent usage. Go back to contact style, contact grunts, contact bleats, and become a little bit softer as these deer start tapering down in their activity level. And then let's go into some very, very cold late winter hunting when the hunting can be very, very tough, yet can be very rewarding. After an earlier miss during the November rifle season, Ray Sanderson's persistence was about to pay off on a nice post-rut buck. Using early season calling techniques, soft grunts, along with Milligan brand doe urine, Ray coaxes this laid back buck, run down from the rut into close range.
Real nice buck for a December morning. Come out here this morning, it's cloudy, damp, dim and cool. Just the kind of weather that these old bucks like to travel in. We saw this one coming up there, coming across, and we used the Loman hand grunt call. Also, we used the combination of the 1100 grunt call. He just come walking right toward us. We had a doe to our right over here behind the cedar, and we had Milligan brand scent at the base of the tree, and the combination of the two really helped to bring that buck into us. He walked right up, he looked up at us, he looked at the doe, he sniffed the scent, just turned to walk toward the doe, gave us a perfect shot at 15 yards.
With the thermometer setting at 8 degrees and the wind chill near 20 below, my 12-year-old son Brent and I decided to brave the elements on an early January afternoon. Although Brent had taken 2 deer with his rifle, he was still looking for his first deer with a bow. Set up in an area where the briars and the brush meet the hardwoods, where deer have been feeding on briars, honeysuckle, and hedge apples, Brent soon spots a young deer working his way towards him. Not far behind is an adult doe. Brent had decided if he could not take an antlered buck, that he would shoot only a doe, leaving the small bucks for next year. As the two deer get closer, something else grabs Brent's attention. About 70 yards away, a fork-horned buck stands and watches the doe and yearling. As Brent watches, the buck does something he did not expect. He beds down. So the waiting game is on. After nearly 2 hours of waiting, the cold weather is just too much for Brent and he freezes out. Brent reluctantly gets out of his tree. But with the weather this cold, there was no need in taking any chances. Being macho and being stupid are virtually the same. If it gets uncomfortable, don't fight it. There will always be another day.
It's frozen, right? Take him to the truck. Go on, get in the truck. Warm up. Hurry up.
Trekking through the snow in our Red Ball boundary boots, 2 days later, it's a regular heat wave, pushing the thermometer up to 26 degrees as Brent and I come back in for another try. Before long, a small button buck makes his way in from the thickets. Meanwhile, a small doe comes from the other direction. As the two move in closer, Brent sets his sights on the doe. But before Brent can shoot, the button buck put a wrinkle in his plans. As the doe moves away, Brent turns his attention towards the buck. What kind of shot do you think you made on him?
I think I made a pretty good shot, but my cut was in the way.
What'd you do? Did you hit
The
it?
string hit my cut.
Huh. Well, I think we got lucky because I think he's down. I seen him go in that thicket and go down, but yeah, I guess something we gotta watch on that heavy clothes and it's cold weather. You're gonna get some interference. We're gonna have to practice on that thing. I'll tell you what, let's go see if we can find him. You know where you shot him, don't you? You marked that spot?
Yeah.
Okay, let's go see if we can find him. Let's blow right up there. Okay, just follow the tracks and follow the sign. That down through there. Way out there, yeah? Yeah, just keep your eye out. He's stumbling there a little bit. He's leaving a lot of good sign. It's right over there to the right, right under that thick stuff. See, ow, boy, I'm in the briars. This time of year, them deer like them briars. Right up there's trouble too. They look a little bit ahead. Follow the tracks on him. We haven't got any blood. Yeah. There's your arrow. Yeah, it pulled out. Sure been a good though. He's not going far. That's just too much good sign. Going right down through there. Going up the snow. Let's put this in your quiver. Yep. Turn right down that trail. Hey, look down the trail. Look right down the trail.
There he is.
There he is. All right. That's a good one. Turning right back down the trail, heading into these thickets. Boy, that's a nice deer, Brent. Congratulations, buddy. That's a nice one. Well, buddy, that's a good deer for your first one. What do you think of this bow hunting?
Well, it's a lot of fun to have all the deer real close to you, seeing them all that close. And there's a lot of deer that we saw, and it's a real challenge.
You can't really, that's one thing about with a bow. It's not like you hunting with your gun. You've taken a couple deer with your gun. This is your first bow kill. But with a gun, they're a little bit, you can reach out and shoot some of those you see. But with a bow, we had a lot of deer around us you couldn't shoot at.
Yeah.
But, we like to set up in the wintertime here. We picked a spot, well, you see behind us just thick mats of brush around. A few oaks, there's a few acorns under the trees here, under the leaves they're eating. There's big hedge apple trees right in front, and they're rooting around those hedge apples. Hedge apples are great wintertime food. Honey locust, anything that's geared around these briar patches and these thickets, these deer are going to go after when the snow's on, and we got to see quite a few deer. It's 26 degrees, not near as cold. It seems like a summertime day compared to the other evening. Brent had a spike bedded down about 70 yards out here the other evening, and it was 8 degrees and the wind blowing like crazy, but the spike won that battle. We come back looking for him, but this button buckle sure do for us, won't it?
Yeah.
Congratulations, buddy. I'm looking forward to the next time. You can improve your deer hunting with a little off-season work. Some of us don't have the opportunity to have great big bottom fields and agriculture around our deer hunting areas, but as you can see, you can come in and take a quarter-acre plot, half-acre, an acre-sized plot, and come in and make a nice food plot out of for your deer. This plot here has winter wheat, winter ryegrass, as well as lespedeza mixed in it, and it makes great deer habitat, deer food. You notice it's in and around a pocket of a lot of brush. I like to put my food plots in an area where the deer have the opportunity to jump into some good cover very quickly. Makes them feel safe, and they'll use the food plot very, very often. So that really enhances your deer hunting. Another thing that we do around our food plots in our deer hunting areas is we use minerals, and what we use is a granulated mineral called Boss Bucks. There's several good minerals on the market. I like the granulated style that you mix right in the dirt. Here you have an old established mineral lick that we've had for years. This one I started just a couple years ago, and as you can see, the deer just tearing it up. They're in here on it probably 8 months out of the year, and that mineral goes right to their body, and it improves not only antler growth, but also improves body weight and a total healthier deer. With a little bit of work in the off season, you can improve your deer hunting. You know, we all have our favorite tree stands. We'll go out and we'll hunt these same stands, especially these old permanent stands like this, year in and year out. And the biggest problem with these is sometimes they can get real dangerous, as this one has. This stand here has certainly had a lot of deer taken out of it over the years, but it's in need of some major repair work. One thing you have to do when you go out and check your tree stands, if you're hunting out of permanent style stands, is you have to check them out, every inch of them, before you climb up in them come hunting season. A better alternative to these permanent tree stands is simply going to the more modern ladder stand, lock-on type stands, things that won't damage the tree and are much safer, and you know they're in good shape when you take them into the woods. Those are certainly a better way to go. So this fall, instead of going out climbing up in that old beat-up permanent tree stand, pick you up a good ladder tree stand or a good lock-on stand. They're much safer, and again, they won't damage the trees. They're a whole lot easier. Plus, they're more portable. Sometimes a permanent stand, that's just what it is, it's permanent. You can't move it to the pattern of the deer. With that portable ladder or that lock-on stand, if the deer change their patterns, simply have to move it 20 or 30 yards. It's something you can do very, very easily and very safely. Well, folks, I hope you've enjoyed this hunting video as much as we've enjoyed bringing it to you. You know, we just like to ask you to take a kid hunting. We enjoy taking kids of all ages, whether it be from 6 years old to 76 years old. We feel like everybody is a kid at heart. And we feel like everybody can enjoy one of God's greatest gifts, the great outdoors, if they'll just take the opportunity. We'd also like to ask you to join such organizations as the National Rifle Association, the Wildlife Legislative Fund of America, and others who are actively fighting to keep your rights as firearm owners and hunters. You know, if every firearm owner in this country would join the NRA, we'd never have to worry about our hunting rights or our firearm ownership rights again. Thanks for watching this video, and keep your eyes peeled for some more real hunting action from Loman Game Calls.